So in 2002, Earth Summit 2 was taking place in Johannesburg. And interestingly, this morning I was at the Greens conference with Bob Brown, who was also there. And we realized a few days down the line that governments, particularly the US, were trying to undo what we had achieved at the Earth Summit. They wanted to dilute the treaties, they wanted to change the objectives and turn everything into a market. So they wanted to establish water markets instead of water conservation. They wanted to establish markets for genes rather than biodiversity conservation. And so about the third or fourth day, those of us who've been kind of, have gone grey being in this movement to protect the earth, we decided collectively we were going to call a press conference to say we disengage with this process of undermining the Earth Summit. And there was this huge press conference, a hall full of journalists, and just like there'll be a time when this hall has to be empty, there was a time when that hall had to be emptied. And so I was walking out, but the journalists were surrounding me. And then suddenly a hand came through, a crowd of journalists. And all I could see in front of me was lumps of cow dung. And I said, oh, an organic farmer has brought me manure. That was my natural instinct. And Barun Mitra, the fellow in that film, who is a lobbyist for Monsanto, he kind of shows his face through the crowd and says, no, this is the bullshit award for making the world starve with organic farming. So I said to him, it's still cow dung. You can call it bullshit, but the material is the same as cow dung. Whether the bull shits or the cow shits, it's still good organic manure. Thank you, I will still compost it. Thank you so much for adding to the fertility of the soil. The filmmaker, heard about this and, decided eventually to make a film, and he titled it Bullshit. Also because in India, we do so much with the cow dung. So he celebrated also the cow dung, as you notice. And there was a background to this, why they ended up doing this. Because in time for the Earth Summit, Time magazine brought out an issue and identified sort of 10 heroes for the next millennium. And, covered me and covered Navdania's work and said that here is biodiversity, able to produce more food. It's the challenge to the biotech industry to match up to the promise that, without genetic engineering, we can produce more food. That, of course, made Monsanto very angry. So besides organizing this bullshit award, they actually flew a plane load of people from India. Again saying organic will starve the world. And carrying banners, Vandana Shiva is not an African farmer. Today, wonderful Taiwanese farmers gave me this letter about their land being taken away for an industrial high-tech complex. If they come to me and we talk, we are in solidarity, I don't have to be Taiwanese to feel for the Taiwanese farmer. I don't have to be African to feel one with the African farmer. But that mindset of the people who run these companies is so narrow that they go for these petty attacks. Of course, they also go for serious attacks. I've been through that. And just 3 days ago, they called up our farm and they called up the seed keeper and said, can you please provide us seeds from your seed bank? Our farmers are so strong because they've worked with me now for 20 years. So Darban, this colleague of mine, a farmer, said, who are you, where are you calling from? From Bangalore. Who are you? I'm calling from Monsanto. So he says, don't you realize that Navdania works to destroy your company and to finish you off? And you have the cheek to try and tell us to hand over all the seeds we've saved, so farmers will we have an alternative? And never call us again, because you're not going to have your way.